Right now, I'd like you to take a minute and imagine this scenario. I live in Florida, in the southeast area of the United States. I like it here. We have good weather most of the time, which means I can get out and bike almost every morning year round. My area is highly populated, so anything I need is readily available. Grocery stores always stocked with food, lots of doctors and hospitals for medical care, and paved roads so I can drive my car anywhere I want. And if I need to go any distance, I have a major international airport about 20 minutes from my house. And like most Americans, I tend to take those things for granted. Then one night, a large group of rebel fighters, heavily armed, lands on Clearwater Beach. They start going through the residential neighborhoods, throwing rocks through windows, setting houses on fire. People wake up in confusion, not understanding why they're hearing explosions and gunfire. Parents grab their children and run outside to escape their burning home, only to be shot to death in their front yard. News spreads quickly by social media and by friends and family members calling to warn each other about what's happening. I get a phone call and realize we need to get out of the area as quickly as possible. My mom lives close by, so I call her and tell her quickly what's happening and that we'll pick her up in about 10 minutes. Then we frantically try to decide what to bring. For me, this would be very difficult. Whenever I go on a trip, I have a checklist of things way ahead of time to make sure I don't forget anything. Now I have just a few minutes to decide what to grab. Our dogs, obviously, my laptop, some clothes, a toothbrush. But how do you even decide what to bring when you don't know where you're going or how long you'll be gone? I don't even know how much gas is in my car. But we're able to escape and we drive north. After about 7 hours in the car, we get to Atlanta. What we find is a large area where makeshift tents have been set up for the people who were forced to flee the state of Florida. This is where we live now. Our life is a tent community of Florida refugees, and we can never go back to where we used to live. For Americans, this sounds pretty far-fetched. We don't really think about a situation like this because it just doesn't happen here. But for my guest today, Dee, it's not just a made-up story. Dee lived with his parents and his siblings in a refugee camp in a village called Gatumba. This is in the country of Burundi in Africa. Their community was attacked one night, and the violence that was carried out was so vicious it made worldwide news. Even to this day, that massacre is what the village of Gatumba is known for. Dee witnessed some horrific things that night, and he was only 5 years old. And a note about listening. Dee speaks fluent English, but he still has that strong African accent. If you'd like to listen while reading the words on the screen, you'll find the full transcript of our conversation at whatwasthatlike.com/102. Real people in unreal situations.
There is a man standing in front of me in my bedroom.
My friend has been shot.
I'm literally inside the river, and I'm inside my car.
He had told me multiple times that he was going to set himself on fire.
If you say my name or try to look at me, I'm gonna kill you.
And he was just sobbing. He said, Mom, tell me you're gonna be okay.
And I jumped on the hood of the car and I held on.
And I looked into the garage and he was hanging from the rafters.
I had somebody standing on my neck.
He's better to me dead. I want him dead.
I'm Scott Johnson, and this is What Was That Like? You go by the nickname D.
Yes.
How do you actually say your first name?
My first name is Dieudonné. It's a French name, Most people cannot pronounce it because it's a pretty not common name, I would say. But people call me D more than my actual name. Like I'm so used to it that
Much easier for sure.
way easier. Yeah.
Before this happened, would you say your early childhood was pretty normal?
Yes, I would say it was a very, I wouldn't say I was spoiled, but I had a very good life. I was very happy. I was never ever like feeling down. I was always, every day was a good day. I had two loving parents that I really love. That was just a very, very happy moment in my life. Yeah.
And you were born in DRC, which is the Democratic Republic of Congo in Africa. And then later your family moved to Burundi, which is not just a different city, but a different country. Can you explain that? Why did the family move?
There's a thing in Africa, in the Congo, there's a lot of tribes. There's a lot of tribes, a lot of tribes. There's like over like can't tell me, but there's a lot of tribes, and those tribes, most of them don't really get along. My dad raised me in a way, or raised as his kids in a way to love everybody. We just love every single human being. We love all people. Like my dad had planned a house where like he will welcome students, many students to come stay at our house, to go to school at our house. Everybody was welcome, and most people don't like them. They didn't really call them Congolese because they seemed that they talked like by people from Rwanda. So they were always being kicked out of Congo to go to a different country, or to be kicked out of Congo to go to like to not be in Congo pretty much. And then some of them decided to go to a neighboring country called Burundi, where there were like a refugee camp there. And for some reason, my parents moved there too. They wanted to move there to stay with people there to look for a better life, I guess.
This is kind of a foreign concept for us here in America. So you had to leave where you were born and where your family was living, and you moved to this other country and lived in a refugee camp in a tent.
In a tent, yeah. Gatumba, it's a literally like the border of right beside the border of Congo. So it's not in Congo, but it's like right after you leave the border of Congo. So it's like right there, which is not really the safest thing to do. So the refugee camp is right there, and then people from Congo can come anytime because we can see the border from where we were. If you look very closely, you can see the border of Congo, and now you're in Burundi. But it wasn't really like you could walk to the border or to Gatumba. It wasn't that far at all.
And who was in your family at this time?
So at this time, I had two older brothers. With them, my oldest one was Andre, and then there were Remy, and then there were me, and then I had a younger sister named Biamo. And then at the time, my mom was pregnant, but I had no idea. I didn't know at the time she was pregnant. She was pregnant, but I think it was like 7 months pregnant. But I didn't know that at the time because I was 5, so I wasn't really looking at that or paying attention to that kind of stuff.
Right. You were 5 years old. You don't really notice stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so there were your mom and dad and 4 kids. So 3 boys and 1 girl.
Yes.
And the baby that hadn't been born yet.
Yes.
And you were 5 years old. Friday, August 13, 2004. What happened on that day?
August 13 was so I want to say normal, which is one of those days that it's like not regular, but just it felt a bit off, a bit weird.
Here in the U.S., and maybe it's worldwide, Friday the 13th, whenever the 13th of the month falls on a Friday, it's considered to be unlucky or something odd. Do you guys think that as well?
We do not know. Not in Africa, no. Like I've heard of that, a movie that I've heard of, but I've heard of stuff because like I'm raised here, yeah. But like I'm aware of that. I'm aware that 13 is an unlucky number, yes. And it's not really a thing back home, no. I wouldn't say that people are scared of that number, no.
Okay. But something just felt kind of off that day.
Yeah, it felt really, I don't know, just sometimes like your body knows something is not right, you know. But it was just, we're just eating at the last meal of the day. It was like around, I think around 9-ish or 8, we're eating the last meal. And then I was a kid that, like, I don't know, I was very close with my dad, so like I would like him to feed me. I don't know why. So he would always feed me, and then I'll be close to him, and he would talk. But my younger sister was there, and me and her, we talked a bit. But we were like, I loved her so much. We were like best friends, and she would always got me in ways like on my back. If I do something around the house, she will always say it's her instead of me, so that I don't get in trouble. And she knows that she won't get in trouble, and then she will say it's her. Because my dad or my mom would not be mad at her, to be mad at me more because I'm the boy that gets in trouble and all that. So she will say it's her who did stuff, even though it's me who did it. Yeah, my dad that day fed me because I like I'm feeding me. I don't know why I was always like I was there to feed myself. But I remember like we were going to bed at this like around 10-ish. People were not really sleeping. Like we're not all sleeping. Some people were still awake outside, still talking and stuff like that. And we're all just sleeping in our beds and stuff. And laying. I think I was already passed out. I think I was already gone. I was already asleep. But we just started hearing gunshots outside. We started hearing gunshots and all that. And my mom would ask my dad, like, those are gunshots. My dad would say, no, those are just hunters, probably people trying to kill some cows and stuff like that, or wild animals. Mom was like, no, those are actual gunshots outside. And my mom, I think she just ran outside with my sister. My sister, she ran outside, and my other brother, I don't know where he ran, but he was not there. And my oldest brother, he wasn't sleeping with us. He was sleeping like with his other guy friends, like in their own tent. He wasn't there. So in that tent, it was only me and my dad left. And then I remember he was looking at me, and at that time I'd never seen my dad cry. I'd never seen him sad, anything like that. I remember just seeing him there. It was as if he was trying to to come to me, but I was wondering, well, like, why isn't he getting up? Like because he was doing his, like, soldiers, they crawl when they have gears on their head, on the back, so they don't crawl with the knees, but they just crawl they pose themselves with their arms. So he was doing that, but I could tell he was in pain. I could tell he was just it was really hard for him to do that. He just kept telling me, like, go see mom, run to mom, run to mom. But I didn't know at the time that he was shot. He was shot in the hip area, like on your waist here. So when you get shot there, usually like you get paralyzed immediately. You can walk after that. You just fall, or if you're lying, you won't get back up because that's it. You're paralyzed right there. So you could, like, I didn't know that then, but like I was just wondering, why isn't he getting up, or was it getting faster? He was just stuck there, and for some reason, I don't know why. Even now, I still regret. I don't know why I left him. I don't know why I ran. Like, I really regret running from him. I regret not staying there with him. I wish I stayed there with him. I was thinking, like, if I stayed there with him, maybe he would be here today. But for some reason, I ran. And I would usually hear helicopters going by. I would see them flying by, and it's a helicopter. And then I would know the sound of a helicopter. As I was running in Gatumba, I heard something that sounded like a helicopter, so I thought it was a helicopter. I was looking, I was like, it's a helicopter. But I didn't see a helicopter near, but I didn't know what it was then, but it's actual machine guns, automatic machine guns. So like they don't stop the sound, they just keep going like a helicopter. So I thought it was a helicopter, but no, those were actual automatic guns. Which sounds similar. I don't know why, but it sounds similar because of helicopter. It's like with the blades and all that.
Because of the continuous firing.
Continuous firing, yeah. So they don't it's just over and over, it's like there's no breaks between them. So like I really thought it was an helicopter, but like I couldn't say. It was very dark. I was just running. I saw so many bodies. I don't know why I saw so many bodies. People were crying, people were yelling. I stumbled into bodies. I saw people's brains on the floor. Blood was splashing everywhere. For some reason, it's as if my mouth was open, but blood was in my mouth. I tasted blood, actual human blood. I think at this time I was alone. I didn't meet up with them yet. You know what I mean? So I was running alone. I didn't meet up with my brother and my sister. I was alone at this time first. I met up with them after. As I was running, I was by myself, and I witnessed a rape. Like I heard words of a woman being raped, and seeing that at 5 years old, I didn't know what's going on at the time, but like I could tell that she didn't want what was happening to her. She was just in pain. She was crying. She was just screaming that so that he doesn't kill her. He can do what he's doing, but just don't kill her. Spare her life. And I didn't know what was going on at the time, but I know now that it was rape. She was being raped by a couple of guys. Rape is something that just scares me. Does it? I don't really like hearing about rape or someone's capable of that, even to this day. By some miracles, as I'm still running, I meet up with my brother and my sister, my brother Remy and my sister. Then he holds me, and I start asking him, like, where's mom? I want to see my mom. And my sister at the time, she was very quiet. My brother was carrying her. She was carrying on his shoulder. And then I remember looking at her, she was very calm and just there. I wish I had talked to her, but I didn't talk to her. I looked at her, but I didn't say anything to her. I could tell she was awake. She was alive. She was just there. I didn't know that was the last time that I would ever look at her or that I would ever see her looking back at me. I just wish that I talked to her. I said anything to her, but I didn't. As we're walking to run away, we meet up with some soldiers. Not really like soldiers, but the people that would kill people. And my brother could tell he was scared, but I didn't know what's going on. I didn't know who they were, but he knew who they were. They were the bad people. That ones are the good people. My brother just said we're innocent. We're kids. We don't know what's going on. And by some miracle, they just let us go. They let us, okay, keep going, don't come back, keep running, don't come back. Well, don't look back, I guess. But we just remember at the time we didn't know that my sister was injured. She was shot, but she was shot in the lower side of the stomach here. And then she went so long without medical attention or anything like that. So the bullet just sat there in her, and then it slowly killed her. But we didn't know that she was dead. We thought she was sleeping, but she was already gone. She was already dead. After this, after we found out my sister was dead, we didn't know. I don't know. Most of it's blurry after this, but I don't know how or what happened. But we ended up at the hospital. I don't know how we got there, but we just appeared. I feel like we just appeared there for some reason. The next morning, they found my mom. My mom was she wasn't in good shape at all. She was laying there with some of her intestines out, the insides of her out, and at the time she was pregnant. And some people really thought like, this woman is dead. She's not alive. So just take her with the dead people and go bury her. And some people were like, no, she's alive. They just go see if she's alive. But some people no, she's definitely dead. Or her insides are out. Her babies can dance a bit, but we can tell the baby is definitely dead also. But they took her. I took her to the hospital, and my other brother was looking for us, but we had found out that we were at the hospital. And then they asked him, just saw your family member. He's like, yeah, that's my two brothers, my sister, and my mom. And the nurses were just amazed. They were like, how is she alive? They couldn't explain how she could be alive after all that. She was shot in the leg, so like one of her leg was literally broken, couldn't walk. And she was shot right in the middle, right under the belly button here, with a baby in the stomach. So we don't know. No one can ever explain how that happened or how she's alive. And that bullet that went through her stomach here was never found. They never saw where it went. They could never trace it. But the one in the leg, they could find it. They took it out. As we're in the hospital this whole time, my brother had to go identify one of the bodies that they found, which was my dad. They found him outside a tent where we were sleeping. So that means that he crawled all the way out the tent. Then he was really burnt. He was burnt from like the waist, from the head, someplace in the head, in the back. He was just burnt. He was trying to escape, but it was just. It haunts me that knowing that he died in pain. He was in so much pain when he died. He was in so much pain. He wasn't.
And the reason he was burnt was because they set the tent on fire?
The people that were doing that, they had gas with them. Yeah, just when they set a tent on fire, they threw gas on people and burnt them alive. Yeah, they were just... And the bullets that they were shooting with, they're not just those small bullets. Those long bullets, they really came to kill. They didn't came to injure us. They came to eliminate everybody that was there. They didn't come to just to joke around. No, they came to kill whoever they say. Those weren't small bullets, no. They were actual, those long, big bullets. We're talking about machine guns. Those are really serious machines. So like they were burning the tents and then they were throwing gasoline on fire so that people can burn. And the victims that were coming from, they killed more women and children more than men. They were really coming to, I don't know if they were coming for women more, but they killed more women and children. A lot of, some women were pregnant also. A lot of women were found with their baby out of them. So imagine a woman is pregnant. A person came, they caught her, took the baby out of her, and then killed the baby also. It sounds like it's from a movie, but this actually happened. I have a hard time believing in it too, but like I was there, I witnessed it, so like I can't say that it was a movie because I witnessed it, I saw what happened. So my dad was found, was burned in the back and all that, burned in the front. And they saw that, he was shot in the waist side, so he couldn't walk. He was crawling to outside. And knowing that I was the last person that saw him, and the fact that I couldn't help him, couldn't stay there with him, it haunts me to this day, knowing that I was the last person who saw him and I left him there. That it just makes me think that did I kill him? Am I the one at fault here? That I abandoned my father, a person who I loved so much, who raised me to be a good person.
But at 5 years old, you wouldn't have been able to help him.
Of course not, but the thing is that 5 years old, you think you're so strong, you think you're the strongest person in the world, I got a nephew who's 5 today. He's 5 now. He's Genesis. And looking at him, I'm like, I was that age. So like there's no way I could have done that. He's like this small. He's like, and he says, D, look at me, I'm so strong. I'm like Superman. I'm like, wow. It makes me like okay. I'm just like, okay, yeah, you're strong, you're very strong. At 5 years old, you think you're the strongest person in the world. You think you're so strong. And I was just thinking like, what didn't I help him? Why didn't I carry him with me or pull him? I just tried to pull him. I just left him there and started running away.
For a while, I wondered if we would ever be able to travel again. And now, thankfully, things are starting to open up and people are getting back on planes. And learning a new language with Babbel is a big part of what makes traveling more enjoyable. Imagine learning to speak a language that you didn't know before and then traveling to a place where it's native. And believe me, that is very doable with Babbel. The way it's set up means you learn quickly, but it's also fun because the lessons are short. I mean, we're talking 15 minutes at a time. For me, I'm a morning person, so I like doing it first thing. But you could fit it in your lunch hour or even at night before you go to bed. And of course, you can do more than one lesson a day. And one of the cool things is that you're sure to be learning the right way. The built-in speech recognition technology means you learn the correct pronunciation and accent. You can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German. And it's impossible to get bored because Babbel offers games, videos, stories, even live classes. So the variety means you have fun while you're learning. And right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months for free. So you're getting 6 months for the price of 3. Just go to Babbel.com and use the promo code WHAT. It comes with a 20-day money-back guarantee, and you can get started right now. That's Babbel.com and use the promo code WHAT. And thanks to Babbel, Language for Life, for sponsoring this podcast.
At the hospital, my mom, she was doing okay, but the baby kept growing in her stomach, and it kept trying to close where the bullet went, and the operator to close it. But the moment the baby moved, or she kicked, or she moved a bit, that would wherever they're closed, they just have to resew it again, close it again. So I think about it. Every time she moves, the baby kicks a bit, that just opens again. It was just a hard process, and the baby was exposed most of the time outside, and they didn't know they didn't know if they could save both of them. So they asked my brother, "We are not sure if we could save both of them, but we got some papers for you to sign here. You can choose who you'd like to save, either your mom or your sister, because we don't think we can save both." He just told them, "No, I would not decide." He walked away. I will not choose who I want to kill or I want to murder. God will decide that. Just do what you can, and God will decide what happens. Not me. I'm not gonna take that sin against me, because we're raised Christians. My mom, to this day, she's a very, very religious person. I remember growing up looking at her, I'm like, this person is so religious. Like, she's really into God. She would always sing gospel songs. Always like the happiest person. She was so happy. She was really, really happy. I never once saw her in a bad mood or her crying. Never. She was always extremely, extremely happy. So, like, seeing her on that stage. At that time, like, I couldn't go see my mom very much. I could see her for a few seconds, and they had to take me out. If my brother, even if he went to go see her, they would tell him, "Do not tell her about your father. Do not tell her about your little sister." And they would tell the same thing. Like, at a time, they were telling me that my father will come back. He's just at the hospital. He's in Kenya. Kenya is a country in Congo, in Africa. Sorry. And some people that were in Gatumba were also flew to Kenya. They flew them there so they can get operated there. And some went to the hospital because the hospital just got full at the moment. People went through this. So some people, they were taken out of another country to go get to the hospital. So they were telling us that my dad is in Kenya. But I knew that he wasn't in Kenya. I knew that he died. And for some reason, it was as if I believed them. I want to believe them. Oh, like, okay, let me believe them. Maybe he did survive. Maybe he did actually go in Kenya.
But your mom didn't know anything about that.
She had no idea. It was as if she was in a coma in a way, but I'm not sure of that. But I don't think they can put a pregnant woman in coma. But she didn't want that to be spoken beside her, because if she freaks out or she gets scared, that's a chance of killing her and a baby at the same time. So they wanted to avoid that at all costs, not to scare her, not to spook her in a way. You know what I mean? Because she was very, very sensitive.
This is such an unusual situation. I mean, for her to be shot in the stomach,
yeah.
I mean, for her to survive is amazing. But then for the baby to survive as well, and now she's in the hospital not knowing that her husband and her daughter have died, and it's just such a bizarre situation.
That's the thing that the nurses was so some of them they know what they were doing, but they were just like, this is something that I don't think I will ever see again in my whole career. Because they couldn't explain how she's alive. The baby is healthy, not a single scratch on her, nothing touched her. She was a complete healthy baby. She was just okay. She was perfect, Some nurses couldn't explain that. It was just how is this possible? How the bullet went into her stomach? How did did it curve? Did it disappear? Where did it go? They couldn't find it. They didn't know where it went. They couldn't find it at all. Yeah, so they kept telling us never to talk about in the hospital or close to her. You keep that away from at all cost. So I will go see her sometimes, and they wouldn't let me stay for long. So she would look at me and she would talk to me. She would like, "Oh, D." My mom she asked me like, "What's a sister?" And whenever she asked me what about my dad, my sister, they would just take me out. They'd be like, "Oh, he's gonna go. He's hungry. Oh, he's hungry to eat there." And then October 2nd came, and it's a time where they were saying, okay, the baby has to come out. The baby's getting way too big. She's 9 months. She has to come out now. So they took the baby out. The baby came out healthy. She's just a miracle baby. She's alive today. She's 17 years old today. She will graduate this year, high school, class of 2022. When she was born, and the nurses, the doctors, everyone was in tears. They're like, this baby is alive. She's here. Most of them, they were very religious. They were Christians. They were just saying, we didn't do anything. God did this. God brought this baby out because we are not trained to do this. We're not trained to save a baby that was literally in the stomach, exposed most of the time. She was outside the world most of the time. She wasn't really like, every time she moved, the wound will open and the baby will be exposed to the world, which is not common. Maybe it's just be someone that's warm in the womb with her mother, but she was the most unconscious just outside. The more she grew, the more she opened, the more it opened. So like, they were in tears. They're just saying, "Baby is alive. The baby is alive." And my mother, she also became very healthy. They closed the womb, the stomach. Her leg was getting better, so they taught her how to walk. She had to learn to walk again properly. She had to learn to walk. She started walking normally. She started walking. She's good. She walks normally today. She can not walk for too long, but she can walk normally. She can climb the stairs. She doesn't use a cane, doesn't use any wheelchair, nothing. She's perfectly healthy. She's something that like only God can do that. Like I don't know if. And the thing with my dad is he was a person who carried all his belongings. Like he carried all the documents, all our pictures, everything about us, he carried it. So when that happened in Gatumba and they burned down the tents and they burned all our documents, everything that we had about us, everything that we had about history, our pictures, our baby pictures, his like pictures, and all of the pictures, they were all burnt. All his clothes were burned, and no one outside, like his brothers or his mom, had a picture. He had everything that belongs to him. He has all his documents except some pictures of him that were when he was in like in university. But like everything that was about him, he had everything. So like to this day, as of right now, we do not have a picture of my dad or my sister. We don't have a single nothing about them. It's literally as if they never existed. And there's nowhere I can go, and because usually you see the movies or you see people when a loved one passes on, they will go in the family pictures, be like, "Oh, there he was. He was like this, a picture of him." I cannot do that. I can't do that. I can't ever go somewhere and look at a picture of him because we don't have that picture of him. We don't have nothing about him. Nothing at all. I have lost a memory of him. I've lost his face. I don't know what he looked like. I have no idea, which really hurts me. Cause I wish I really knew how he looked like. So right about late October, we had to tell her, break the news to her. I wasn't there, but my brother had to go tell because they didn't want me to be closer. They just told her, Yeah, your husband is not in Kenya. Your daughter neither. They didn't make it. They passed away. They died. Your husband was shot in the leg, so he was paralyzed and burned. Your daughter was I'm so shocked, but she didn't make it either. Only 3 sons and a daughter made it. And you. I remember after I saw her, she was just she broke down. She was just very broken. She was very, very lost. But my mom, she's a strong woman. She's a very, very strong woman. She pulled through. But I mean, she's never okay. Even today, she's not okay. I'm sure she thinks about it every day. Cause she says she's even today. She said that my dad was her best friend. That was her partner in life. He was the one that was meant for her. He was her best friend. Even when I ask about him, like how was he, because I only got 5 years with him. I don't know much, which also hurts me. I only got 5 years with him. So whenever I ask about him, how was he? They all like I've never heard a bad thing about him. Nothing. He was a great, great person. He was a great, loving person. Nothing that I heard about him that was he was a bad person. None of that. He was a great person. Everyone liked him. Everyone loved him. And just to have no memory, nothing about him that I can look and see that's him. Nothing of that. So she's been like, she was just lost. That was her best friend. So close. They were really happy. They were extremely, extremely happy. And I remember a day that I ever saw my mom crying or in tears. Never. She was always just in a good mood, always extremely happy, helping out the neighborhood, always helping out the people that you need. Same as my dad, they were really the ones. They were really into helping others. They were really into providing for others in need, people that don't have much, and they would help out, give food, give clothes. They were really doing the work for God. It's so like after all that, we were there until like late September. We moved to another neighboring refugee camp, and very far from Gatumba. We were there for a few months, few years. So United Nations had asked us to resign in Canada to move to Canada, a city called Winnipeg, Manitoba. We said yes, and most people moved. Most people were taken to the States. People were taken to Chicago and New York City. People also were taken into Canada. Some were taken to Alberta, Ontario, or New Brunswick, Manitoba. As we went to Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is it was a very, very cold place. It was extremely cold.
Yeah, that's gotta. I was just thinking, you come from Africa, one of the hottest places in the world,
Yeah.
and going to Canada, which is one of the coldest.
Yeah.
That had to be such a shock.
It was a big shock, yeah. But
so this was a program with the United Nations. The United Nations was placing political refugees at other places just for protection, for safety.
Yeah, so like they were the ones that were providing safety at Gatumba. They were the ones that were protecting us there, but they felt that the protection didn't protect us there. We were attacked there, so not to help us or to pay us back, but they just want to offer a better protection to move people away, like different countries, if that will help better. You know what I mean? Because United Nations were the ones that were supposed to protect us in Gatumba. They were the ones that were out. They were supposed to be this umbrella for us. They felt that they miserably felt that they didn't help us. They abandoned us in that way. So they came and looked at the people that were the survivors and want to give them better life away from all that. Just leave all that behind.
How did you feel about that? Leaving the only country you had ever known to come to Canada? I mean, your mom and the kids, were you guys all okay with that?
I'm pretty sure they were all okay with it. Yeah, they were all okay with it because I guess you felt safer and we were aware that won't happen again here. You know what happened. But I could say that at first I was like, yeah, let's probably go. You know, and this is when I'm 8, 7, 9 here. You know, to go to Winnipeg. We moved there and it's cold. I guess it was cold. And I remember I didn't like being around people much. I was scared of people now. I developed this thing where I didn't like being in large crowds. I didn't want like being around a lot of people that I don't know who they are or they're not family. Even today, I still have that phobia, I guess. I don't like being around people. If too many people come out, usually leave. I go in the room and I'll just hide there. But I remember just not being comfortable in school or if I go at separate teams and all the activities that they did not like being watched or by people being around other people. So I would always like being alone, but no one understood that. No one understood how I felt. I couldn't really tell them that how I felt. I'm a person. I've developed this thing where like I like teaching myself more than being taught stuff. So I will learn on my own. I will learn myself. I don't teach myself stuff. You know that there's some people teaching me, but I had this nightmare where like I'll see people suffering in the world, and I always think it's why isn't anybody there helping people? Like why isn't there people there helping others that they need? You know, there are people watching other people crying or people suffering, but I'm sure that I'm not the only nice person out here because I'm raised to be a nice person. I was raised to be a caring person. Why is anyone else like that? You know, most of the time I'll think of my dad. I would see like, man, like I left that person there. Like, why didn't I save them? Why didn't I go back and be there with them? And that would always haunt me. Like sometimes even now it still haunts me. And I blame myself for that. Like I think I'm at fault for that. And like I don't talk much about myself often. So like no one has ever told me like, oh, you're not at fault. It's not your fault. No, that. It's you're a 5. But there's days where I think it's my fault and I'm the one who caused that. I didn't go back for him. I didn't stay there with him. And like I wish that it was me instead of him and like my younger sister. Like I just wish that she got to experience life. I wish like she actually got to explore life. Like at 4 years old, having your life taken away like that, like out of the blue, you know. So I remember being like really mad with God. I really hated God at the moment. I really hated him, like because I was taught at a young age that God is a good person. Is a good being. He loves you. He loves everybody. You know that. And I was looking at him like, you are an evil person. I want nothing to do with you. I don't want to talk to you ever again. You killed a kid, a 4-year-old. That did nothing to you. Like she was just there and you took her away. Like, why did you leave me? Like, am I better than her? You know? So I was very mad with God. I really hated him.
These are a lot of mental issues that it seems like you would be helped by therapy. Have you had counseling or therapy at all to help you with this?
The thing with therapy, even at the time, I didn't know what therapy is a thing because therapy isn't really a thing in the African culture. Therapy is like it's not that we don't talk about it. It's not doesn't exist. It's not there. It's not accessible. Like even you see the whole Africa continent. If you even Google a therapy in Africa, I'm sure you would have nothing. It's not. It's nothing. There's no talk about. It's not talk about. It's just. It's not. It's unknown. You know what I mean? I mean, I know about it now, but like I never really got thought about it or ever felt it or that I needed it. But I'm doing better, you know, because I've seen people and the people that were survivors from Gatumba. There are people even today that lost both parents. You know, they were parents that lost all kids. They're just parents left. So like, I'm doing good with God now. I'm on good terms with God. God has helped me to see that, to notice that even though you lost your father, your sister, but there's people out there that lost both parents. You got a parent that loves you still. She's there for you. There's kids out there that are alone. There's people that live in Edmonton, Alberta. There's 4 girls and 2 boys that lost both parents. They're just there. There's people that I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. God provided that with me. God helped me through that. We have all united. We have all helped each other. We talk about this stuff every August 13th of every year. It's the 17th year this anniversary this year.
You want to know something I never do when I'm in my car? Listen to the radio. I haven't listened to commercial radio in probably close to 10 years now because I just always have a podcast on. And for an hour or two each week, I'm listening to the Jordan Harbinger Show. Jordan is actually an attorney, but years ago he transitioned to full-time podcaster, and it's obvious that his true calling is talking to super interesting people and high-level achievers. He brings on authors, scientists, hostage negotiators, you name it, even former criminals, like this guy named Frank Barasa. Today, Barasa works with law enforcement as the most recognized authority on counterfeit money. And the reason he knows so much about that is because he was a major counterfeiter himself. He actually created $250 million in fake $20 bills before getting caught, and he told that whole story. And another episode that was particularly memorable was with David Kilgore. He's a former member of Canadian Parliament, and he's one of the world's top experts on the illicit practice of forced organ harvesting. Yeah, we're talking about the Chinese government taking someone's heart or kidney and selling it for a big chunk of money. Bet you never heard that story before. Jordan Harbinger is intelligent and well-spoken, and that becomes obvious pretty quickly as you listen to these conversations. This is a podcast that's designed for people who like to think and get a better understanding of how the world works. That's you and me. I think you'll enjoy it. For some episode recommendations, check out jordanharbinger.com/start or search for The Jordan Harbinger Show. That's HARB as in boy, IN as in Nancy, GER. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And thanks to The Jordan Harbinger Show for sponsoring this podcast.
So my 2 brothers, they are married. Yes, they both have kids. My oldest brother, Andre, the coolest thing that happened is his wife was also in Gatumba. His wife lost her mother in Gatumba. So he married a woman named Beatrice. She's just the most wonderful, beautiful sister-in-law that I could ever ask for. She's wonderful. I love her. She's a great person. She had lost her mother in Gatumba also. And we all united at what's in Canada. When they came, they moved to Newfoundland and Labrador, and we moved to Winnipeg, Manitoba. So we somehow we got contacted, and we all, oh yeah, you were there and all that.
Did they know each other back in Gatumba?
They did not know. They met after Gatumba. We moved to another place in Burundi. They met there. Then we all just got separated. Some people to the U.S. and they were sent to Newfoundland. So he married her. So there's a well-known history that they know each other very, very well. They've been through the same thing, that. So,
do you all live near each other so that you can see your nieces and nephews and brothers?
So after we moved to Winnipeg, we moved to Edmonton, Alberta, which is still Canada. We were there for a while. We all moved there. We all lived there and all that. I went to high school there. In my early high school years, I worked at a restaurant called McDonald's for a few years. And while working there, I had met this really beautiful woman, a beautiful girl named Gloria. She was just very, very, like her name says, she's just Gloria. She was just very wonderful. She was very, she's just one of those person that looked at you, she looks at you, you feel very wow. she looks at you. She looks at you right in the eyes, like she just opens you or swallows your soul in a way. Very, very glowing. I met her. We talked for a while, for a few years. We were talking and just, seeing each other and all that. And then I remember she would always ask me, D, we can date. We can date. She was saying most of the time, we can date, we can do this, we can date. And I remember I would never answer her. I would just look at her and then I would try to answer, but my words would not come out of my mouth. I can't answer her for some reason. I don't know why at the time, but I couldn't answer her. She would just say, D, we can date, we can do this, we can. I could tell she was in love with me, and I was just really I was in love with her. Like I really loved her, but I don't know why I didn't express that. I wouldn't tell her, What I come to find is like I'm scared. I'm extremely scared of losing people in my life. I'm scared of if I bring her in my life, there'll be a day that I will die or she will die and she'll leave me behind, or I will leave her behind, and that scares me. It scares me losing people. It scares me that when I have to let people go in life. Like, go as in, like, if they pass away, and that just haunts me. And I wish, she understood that I also was in love with her. I wanted to be with her, but I couldn't answer her for some reason. I couldn't tell her how I felt. A reason of, someday she can pass away, or I will pass away, and I have to leave her behind. My mom, like, she has days that she's not feeling good. We all have those days that we're just down a bit, those feelings. I just look at her like, I tell her, like, you're so strong. You're a strong woman. Like, you raised 3 boys on your own. You raised a girl on your own. No one came to help you. You did that all by yourself. And I'm extremely proud of you. I'm so, so proud of you. You're a great woman. You're a great mom. And I'm not saying that you don't have the right to feel like this, but like, we all have this feeling, but like, you should be proud of yourself. You did so much for us, and I'm forever grateful for that. Thank you for this life. We all lived in Edmonton for a few years. We were there. I didn't want to be there anymore. It was just too big, too crowded. And crowds don't make me, I'm not comfortable with crowds, big crowds. So I moved to a smaller city. So I looked at New Brunswick. I moved to New Brunswick. And since I moved there, my whole family came here. We can be all close to each other. We've never really lived far from each other. We've always been close to each other. We've always been near each other, which is that type of family that I like being close to each other. We just family is something that I really, really love. Family, I love my family so much. Nothing that I wouldn't do for them. We've always been there for each other, and we will always be there for each other. When it comes to my mom, she's someone that I'm a mama's boy, so like I love my mom so very much. She's someone that I really, really honor. Like I love her so much. She has done so much for me. Like, there were never a day in my life that I felt hunger, that I needed food, that I needed clothes. All that was always there. I was at clothes to wear. I was at food to eat. And I just asked her, like, how do you do all that? Like, we always had food. We always had clothes to wear, always under a roof. Never a day that I felt hunger. Never a day that I was wondering, like, oh, what I eat today. She has always been provided for us. She's such a strong, strong woman. I hate when I feel like I hate it haunts me, like knowing that one day it's possible that she will leave me behind, and I just don't think that I would ever to accept that she can leave me behind or she can pass away. I would not be able to take that very well. It scares me every day that knowing that it's very possible that she will leave me, or she can leave me at any time alone. She'll taught me so much in life. I'm so grateful for her. Like, there's nothing that I would never do for her. She's an amazing, amazing person.
For your life now, what are your hopes and dreams for your life?
So I've recently told my mom that I wanted to help out, outside the world. Like I want to, like I'm a person that I've always been helping out. I've always been donating to charities. I've always been going to sit with the homeless people and just talk to them, and just be there for them. See how they're doing today. If I could get them anything to eat. Scott, you recently talked to a person who donated his kidney to a stranger.
Yeah, it was one of my early episodes. Yeah.
Yes, that man said that he feels uncomfortable telling people how he has helped up people or what he does. I'm the same way. Like I would never go out there and say like, oh, I helped this person. I donated money to this person. I gave them. That makes me feel so uncomfortable. Like it makes me feel guilty in a way that I'm doing that. And I've seen people out there. They'll go help out people, homeless people. And they go with the phone, with the camera on. I'm like, really? You're not really helping. You're not show people that you're doing this, but it's not really for that thing. It's for your viewers or to get thought that you're a good person. That just makes me so uncomfortable. So like I want to do this thing that anonymously where I would help people, provide homeless shelters, provide people in need, and the women that have been abused, and women that have been went through a lot in life. There's a lot of women out there that just go through a lot. Like people are like that. There's people like that out there. It haunts me. It really scares me. I want to help those women. I want to show them that not all men are the same. Because I've heard many times that whenever a woman goes through things like that, she hates men or disgusting men or this, but which most times like no, that's not true. We're different. There's nice of us out there. There's some of that I would actually want to help you, be there with you. For some reason, in my life, I've been taught many times that people talk to me and they open up to me. Now I've always wondered like, why is that? Why is that? What do you like? And I ask some people like, why do you always tell me secrets and stuff like that? They're like, do you listen? Do you want to talk to you like actually feel like I'm a better person? Or when you ask me how I'm doing, you actually mean it. How am I doing? And I tell you how I'm doing. When people ask how you doing, usually they want to ask you that because it's a common thing. They'll be like, hi, how are you? Good. But you actually ask how you doing. If I'm not okay, you say, no, you're not saying okay. What is it? So that's a person that you are. And people have told me that like I actually listen to people and actually care, So like I get that view, I get a feedback from people. People tell me that I actually listen and everything. So I think I'm good for that. And adoption is something that I want to do in life. And I want to have my own kids for sure, yeah. But adopt is also one of the things that I actually want to do in my life. I take some kids that just out there because the system is pretty messed up in a way because a lot of kids just end up on the streets also or end up very not taken care of. So I want to help a lot of kids, and if more people can do it, it would be great. If we could, I know we don't think the same way, but if we could all adopt kids, if we could all help the kids that need, then who would have this problem? We would have kids that are just going in the streets and growing up in the streets and nowhere to go. The thing that also haunts me or scares me, it's seeing me being in my car, well, coming from work, and I have my heated seats on. I have my heater on in the car. I'm going home and passing by some homeless people. That just, it breaks my heart knowing that he's out there in the cold, nowhere to go. He's not blinking. He has nowhere to go. But I'm going home. I'm going to go in my bed today with my blanket on in the heated home with the heater on. He doesn't have that choice. He can't do that. He's stuck there. It always like I usually avoid roads. I don't pass by them. I don't see them because I know I'm gonna start crying. I'm gonna stop the car, and I was just tear up because it's so sad knowing that someone is this cold. And Canada is a very cold place. You know, people they're there. They have nowhere to go. They're stuck in the cold. They're just hopeless. It's very hopeless. They're just there. It's as if no one cares about them. But like. Or you could be eating and you see them just walking around a restaurant begging for food and people will like throw things at them or insult them. I wish you could all just help out the people that really need it. It just feels good. Like I have never done any drug in my life. I've never smoked, never done anything like that. But someone telling you thank you, someone telling me thank you for this, it feels so good. Like helping out people, and like that the feeling back that you get, like someone telling you thank you for helping me, or thank you for that food, thank you for this change I gave it. It's so empowering. It's so like powerful.
You know, something that occurred to me, you said you don't have any pictures of your dad, and all you know is what people say about him and about what a wonderful and kind person that he was. And I think the fact that you, with you being such a compassionate person and having such a big heart to help other people, maybe that's probably the way your dad was too. So if you want to know what your dad was like, maybe it's sort of like the way you are today and being compassionate with other people.
You know, Scott, my mom has said the same thing that you said. Whenever I talk about things that I want to do in life, she's like, your dad would have loved for you to do that. Your dad did that. Your dad wanted to do that. Because he did everything that I'm doing. But I didn't know most of the things. But things that I just go tell him, like, oh, wow, your dad did that. Your dad wanted to do that one day. She just said, like, yeah, that's something that your dad would have done. And the fact that you're saying it just proves that, yes, that you're all right. You're actually all right. And I have that side of him. I have that part of his heart. Because he was just a loving person. I've never heard anything bad about him. I never heard that he did this, he did that. I've always heard good things. That he helped these people. He helped them. He raised kids that weren't his kids. He raised, the fact that you also saying it just proved that, yes, that's probably true, yes.
And for you to be that way, that's how you honor his memory.
Yes, yeah. And I'm glad that I have that part of him. Like, none of us look like him. Like, when my mom, she would say, like, oh, you have his features, you have his fingernails, or you have his finger toes, but like, none of us actually like look like him, which is yeah. I mean, he has brothers in the States. He has a brother in Kentucky, and he doesn't look like him like at all. And in the African culture, we don't really like. I don't say uncle sometimes. So, like, we will call our uncles dads. We'll call them dads. Dad. You know, we don't call them by names, which is it's rude. We don't call them by names. We just call them dad. Some people will say uncle because it's a new thing now, but like, we always call them. And then recently, when I called my uncle in the States, and I said tata, which is a dad in my mother's tongue. I was just like, I felt this shock because I haven't said it in so long that I said dad. It's been so long that I've called someone dad, and I just felt this like a shock. I was like, oh my God, I said dad. It's been so long. And everyone's like, yeah, it's been long since you said it.
I'm sure people are going to be moved by this story. No child, no human should go through what you went through. Yeah. Thank you for sharing it. And if someone wants to contact you, I know you're on Instagram and you've got email, and we'll have links to that in the show notes for this episode if anyone wants to get in touch with you.
Perfect. Thanks. That'd be great. Yeah, and I'm here if anyone needs to talk to me, answer a question about me or talk about you that you don't, I can help. I will provide whatever help that you need help with. That's if I could help you, and I'll be here for you if you need help with anything. If you have any questions about your life or my life, I'll be glad to help you.
Remember the young lady Dee was talking about, Gloria? He's still hoping to connect with her and tell her his true feelings. So Gloria, if you're listening to this, don't give up on him. Maybe we'll have an update from Dee about that situation at some point in the future. As I got to know Dee prior to recording our conversation, I found out that he's a fan of The Office, like I am. And one of his favorite quotes on that show is from Andy Bernard, when he said this: "I wish there was a way to know you were in the good old days before you left them." A lot of wisdom in those words. Okay, what happens when you take a bunch of podcast listeners and you put them all online in front of a camera? You get the What Was That Like Zoom chat. We've done this a few times now, and it's a blast. Last time we played podcast trivia, and Laura up in Canada won a What Was That Like coffee mug. This time, it's show and tell for the family pets. You like showing off your dog or your cat? Or your hamster or your snake or your pet skunk? Well, this is your opportunity because we want to see them. And I want to make sure you understand, the Zoom chat is open to everyone. All listeners are invited. Doesn't matter if you're a Patreon supporter or not, or if you're brand new and you've only listened to a few episodes so far, or if you've been listening since episode 1. You are invited. If you're in the listener community, you'll get the invitation with all the meeting details automatically. It's going to be this coming Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're not already in the listener community, and it's free of course, you can get in at community.whatwasthatlike.com. Otherwise, to get the Zoom information, just email me or contact me through the website, and I'll get you the meeting link and everything. You can get on Zoom with your computer, your tablet, your phone, whatever you want to use. We'll have a great time getting to know each other, maybe talk about the episode you just listened to, and show off our furry friends. So don't forget, it's this Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and I hope to see you there. And a reminder, I'll be at Podcast Movement, a big podcasting conference in Los Angeles later this month, so if you're going to be there, let's connect. And that brings us to this week's listener story, which needs a content warning because it includes a sexual attack. And by the way, if you have a story that's interesting, funny, unusual, or just entertaining in some way, and you can tell it in a few minutes, call it into the podcast voicemail line anytime, day or night, 727-386-9468. Stay safe, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
This is about a time I felt the most scared I've ever felt in my life. It was 2019 and I had booked a work trip to Istanbul with a director friend. We wanted to film this documentary about the most historic, monumental places related to the Turkish Ottoman Empire. And one of our filming spots on our list was this historic landmark called the Galata Tower, which was the tallest building around the Ottoman Empire, and also showed a bird's eye view of the whole city of Istanbul. So when we arrived at our location to film, we were quite late in the day and the queue of tourists surrounding the tower was insanely long. We decided to call it off. We had supper at this nearby cafe, where we came to learn that right next to the Galata Tower is supposed to be this beautiful remote hotel, which was a 400-year-old rickety building and was supposedly the most haunted building in the area. And the tourist guests avoided spending the night at this hotel. So it immediately caught our attention and we went inside this haunted hotel with my director friend. And we went to the front desk to inquire further, where we came across this rather beautiful concierge in his early 20s. A very Timothée Chalamet lookalike, if anything. And there is a reason I'm mentioning his appearance. Anyway, so we told him that we didn't want to stay at this hotel, but if he can tell us more about, if he can confirm us about the hauntings, which he did, that it indeed was a haunted building, supposedly, especially the third floor of this hotel is the one that scares the people away. He kept insisting that he will give us a very good discount if we book to stay in his hotel, in his quite charming smile, but obviously we were not into this. My director friend wasn't keen about this, but I was very keen to film this third floor because it was, obviously it caught my attention. So the following day, I went ahead myself. My director called it off, but I always had a thing for the haunted, macabre places, so I went ahead solo and I thought I would film it on my iPhone anyway and edit it in a documentary somehow. It was around sunset when I checked in front desk with our new concierge acquaintance, and he offered me the high tea menu, which came with the booking. So I had that high tea, and obviously it was dark outside now. When I asked this concierge to guide me to the dreaded third floor suite I was there for. The floor itself looked like an ordinary restored old hotel. The big suite bedroom, which was supposedly the most haunted bedroom in this building, was already ajar with the Very beautiful ambiance, lights on and everything. I mean, I was definitely nervous, but the concierge had this warm, charming smile and I wasn't alone. So I went inside, I immersed myself in filming everything I could about this room, taking selfies, and it took me about 10 minutes to realize that the concierge, Matt, wasn't there. So I had a mini heart attack, obviously. I mean, I didn't know when the hell he took off, so I decided to take my leave as well. I mean, obviously I didn't want to be alone in this room. At that point, I realized that the door of the room was locked. I tried to push open the door like with all my force. I mean, I was having a mini heart attack, and I naturally started shouting and hammering at this door. At the very far end of this room, the bathroom door opened and out came the concierge. I mean, I started laughing, rather relieved, because, I mean, obviously I wasn't alone, and I had assumed that he had ran off, locked me inside, as some joke. When he came out of the bathroom, he wasn't laughing anymore. I mean, poker face, rather stern expression. Rather, in a way, quite a strange expression on his face. He wore an, like, sort of robotic. He came near me and he took my phone from my hand and quickly threw it away. I mean, then he forcibly thrusted me towards the bed. It was this insane blur. I mean, it was this mental lapse of things, as my brain wasn't able to acknowledge what was happening at that moment. So I wasn't even fighting back. I mean, he was on top of me on this bed and was trying to untie both his and my clothes. So I was frozen both mentally and physically. I mean, I didn't think that this sort of fear can be categorized, but I mean, I lost my voice. I mean, obviously my attempts to trying to push him away wasn't working on his violent physical force on me, his arms, and all I could muster was please, 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 stop. In a passing moment of trying to think my way out, I stopped struggling when he was on top of me, and to no avail, I started guessing him back, which kind of took him by crazy surprise. I mean, my minor cooperation shocked him, and his strong physical force on me relaxed. I mean, he looked in my face with, like, a surprise, like, obviously, okay, so this girl is into this assault. I mean, like, she's consenting to it. I mean, obviously, I had already mentally planned this. So I asked him if I can go to the bathroom. So he was fine, he gestured, okay. So it was when I had locked myself in the bathroom and started shouting like a maniac is when he realized my getaway plan. I think it probably took him 10 to 15 seconds to make a run for it himself and out of the room before anyone came to my rescue. And thus, I saved myself from this horrible incident, rather half saved myself. I mean, in hindsight, I kind of realized that the devils who are malevolent are mostly in human forms rather than 400-year-old specters of a haunted building.